So I'm here with Travis Dumas. I'm so excited to have this guy in here today. You're a member of the Ocean of Soul. You play the trombone.
Yes, sir.
You've been here since 2012. Talk to me about your time here at TSU.
Man, I love it, man. I love the campus. I love it out here, man.
Now, look, the Ocean of Soul. You know that name. You know it's so different. Like, where did that name come from? We talked about it earlier, and you have a very interesting story behind the origin of the name.
Okay, so back in the day, Texas Southern used to have a classic with Grambling. It was called the Astro City Classic, I believe. And so every year, Grambling's band was coming down and just, putting the work on Texas Southern University. It was bad. Like, the crowd couldn't even get hype for TSU's band. Back in the day, the band was called the TSU Tiger Band or something like that. And so the administration, the president, the students, they all got fed up, and they reached out to Benjamin Butler, who was a band director over at Tennessee State University. They brought him from Tennessee to Texas Southern University, and he did a phenomenal job with the band. He completely redid the program, and it gained a lot of respect within that 1 year. And so he's driving around one night, he's trying to figure out what he's gonna name this spectacular band he's created, this great program. And so during that time, there was a DJ out. He called himself the Mountain of Soul. He was the hottest DJ in Houston, Texas at that time. And the band director was listening to him, and he was like, okay, but what's greater than a mountain? He was like, I got it. I'm going to name my band the Ocean of Soul. And so that's how the Ocean of Soul got started.
Now, if you guys recognize Travis's voice, you are a familiar face on my radio show, Talk on the Walk. And we talked earlier, and you had a very intriguing story that a lot of people do not know. Sandra Bland, she was a part of the PV marching band at Prairie View A&M. Talk about that. Okay,
so the thing a lot of people don't know, who are outside of the HBCU marching band programs, they don't know that being in the HBCU marching band, that's a whole different side of life. It's a whole different community. And a lot of people, we know each other from different colleges. Everyone pretty much knows each other. There are social networks that we use to communicate with each other, whether it's to talk trash or to, make fun of each other's bands, or, to get to know each other better, And so Sandra Bland, she's one of the people that falls into that category. And so I noticed that on the HBCU only page on Facebook, there was a girl who was really close to her who kept writing, justice for Sandra Bland, and she kept having all these statuses like, I can't stop crying, my best friend, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, what happened to your friend? And so eventually I looked into it and I saw what happened. And I'm thinking this is something, maybe that happened someplace else, some other state, but this happened right up the street from us. And, it really touched us, it being this close. And, as you can see, a lot of the TSU students, we've been going out and protesting on behalf of Sandra Bland. And, this comes from rival band members. That lets us know that we can put aside the rivalry, to come together for peace.
Now, and you talk about protesting.
Yes.
And a lot of TSU students have been out there in the streets marching and protesting. It was a police shooting here a few days ago. The deputy got killed here in Harris County. It's a lot to say about this, because a lot of students here are really upset about what happened, because it was a hard situation, but what made it worse was the DA and the top law officials came out and really blamed your movement. So what is your reaction to your top law official in Harris County really throwing shade at the Black Lives Matter group?
Once again, it's not fair. It's not fair that our system, our justice system, they put groups like the Ku Klux Klan at such a high pedestal, and they treat peace groups such as Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. It makes no sense to us, for them to completely throw shade, to throw blame on the Black Lives Matter movement. They have to understand that these are two different types of people you're dealing with. Black Lives Matter isn't about you know, killing whites or anybody. It's a peace group. And the person who committed this crime, whoever killed this police officer, he wasn't about that. He's not about the Black Lives Matter movement. However, you know, once again, all blacks have been categorized, have been thrown into the same category. And that's not fair when you have people like Dylan Root who go into a black church and say that, you know, they're here to kill black people. And, you know, he has pictures with the Confederate flag. You know, America is allowing white supremacists to march around with their Confederate flags, while now we have to deal with, you know, the top deputies in Houston basically allowing people to, I guess, you know,
just throw us under the bus.
Yeah, throw us under the bus. And, you know, I even heard, I even saw something on Facebook. There was a Caucasian gentleman, an older guy, who basically said, if you see someone who is a part of the Black Lives Matter movement in your neighborhood or in your town, to get you a slingshot from Walmart and to stone these people, right? And that's not making the problem better. That's making it worse. And of course, you know, blacks are going to get blamed for this once again. A big race war breaks out. We're going to get blamed for this.
And, you know, I sent out a tweet the other day, and I think it sums this whole thing up. Basically, the fact that the term Black Lives Matter is so controversial, is so indicative of white supremacy in this country. You know, and someone made a good point earlier about the kid who shot up the church. We didn't come out and say, oh, this is because of the Tea Party, and blame all of white America and really declare war. When I heard Devin Anderson, it seemed like she was calling out, you know, her group. She said the silent majority need to step up. And when you talk about war, you're saying there's an enemy. You know, so when you are really declaring war against a group that's peaceful, that basically is fighting against injustice and violence, and we have taken a stand to say no more violence. And we talked earlier, and we talked about Black Lives Matter is not basically about police brutality. That's a root of the issue. I mean, that's a tree branch of the issue, but it's not the root. This all started with Trayvon Martin, a police officer. Well, he was killed by somebody who wasn't a police officer, a guy who felt that he was entitled, that felt that he was privileged, that he was supreme, and that black people don't belong in a upper class neighborhood. So we had this discussion earlier. My question for you is right now, what do we do next? Where do we go from here as people are now trying to categorize this group as a hate group?
See, this is the answer. A lot of I guess people who are unaware, blacks that are unaware, are going to say, they're going to say, get educated, right? But that's such a generic answer at this point, because that's not even a real answer to me. At this point, you know, we have so many educated black men and women. In fact, I believe right now, black college graduates is at an all-time high. And it's not just that. We have to, there has to be collective accountability. Collective accountability among these police officers, among these politicians. You know, you see someone doing wrong, you know, you have to say something. If you don't say anything, you're just as bad as the person, you know, doing the wrong. And you know, until society can stand up and say that, you know, racism is an issue, it's going to continue to be a problem. You know, the first step to solving a problem is admitting that there is a problem. You know, these politicians, they have to admit that there's a problem. Police officers, they have to admit that racism is a problem. We as black people, we have to come together. We have to admit that there's a problem. White America has to admit that racism is an issue.
And as we change directions really quick, one of the great things about being at this institution is we are taught to be involved civically, involved in the political process. There's a local election coming up. We're going to talk about the national election in a minute. But are you paying attention to local elections? And is there anybody who is standing out to you as a young? Because the word on the street is we don't vote, and we're not into the local elections. So is there, Ben Hall or Turner, or anybody standing out to you in any of these races?
Well, I was thinking Lori Robinson.
Lori, oh wow.
Oh yeah. Lori Robinson. I'm sorry.
Now she's running for position 4.
Yeah, she is. And so I'm strongly confident she's gonna get it. Not just based off of her support of the HERO program, but also the fact that she knows disaster relief recovery.
Oh,
that's a big thing out here. Like, she has my vote hands down.
Oh wow, and that's the word here. I've heard that before. What kind of took me when I asked this question to people, I would thought they would talk about the mayor election, but a lot of people are really interested with that race with Lori Robinson and. But now to the next national election, I'm gonna say 2 words, and just tell me what comes to your mind when you hear these 2 words. And this is so interesting. This is my favorite part of the interview. Donald Trump.
Money and racist.
Oh wow, wow. Elaborate a little more on Donald Trump.
Well, Donald Trump, he's known to be one of the world's most richest, powerful people. And, he's very well respected. One thing about him, though, people don't see is that he was given his first $1 million. Mm-hmm. His father gave him that money, and he told him whatever he did with it, that's it. He's not going to help him after that. If I was given $1 million, I would easily flip that into $1 billion. And so it's just like, I kind of see where people are coming from with, respecting him so much, but at the same time, it was still given to him. And so there are a lot of things that he doesn't see. Now, as far as racism goes, Donald Trump, he's too out there with it. He once said, you can look this up too, he once said that if you feel that America isn't treating your race right, maybe you need to go back to your country. He said that. Look it up. And
wow. Now, as we finish the interview, as we go towards the Labor Day class this week, there's word on the street that there's a tribute in the works for Sandra Bland. But before we go there, we know that Sandra Bland was the street was renamed at Prairie View. Mm-hmm. University Drive was changed to Sandra Bland Boulevard. What have taken me back a little bit, and a lot of students here at TSU, as I talked to them today, we are really confused. There are students at Prairie View University who have started a petition to get her name removed because they said it's offensive to have a person that the media believes a criminal to represent their university. To me, it seems like they're throwing their own alumni under the bus. You as a student activist, as someone who's civilly engaged, a TSU student, how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts? Because me, I'm kind of confused of what's going on.
I'm very confused.
We all are.
I don't see how that can get so many supporters when people at that university actually knew her. People at that university actually knew that she wasn't like how the media portrayed her. For their student body to turn against her so quickly, I don't know. Maybe there's something, me and you aren't seeing.
Yeah, we don't know.
Because, we're at the end of the day, even though Prairie View's right up the street, we're still kind of out of the loop. Maybe there's something we're not seeing. Maybe there's method to this. But from the outside looking in, this is madness.
Yeah. Because I know we would never throw, Barbara Jordan or Mickey. We won't throw them under the bus.
Yeah. From what I understand, it's a temporary change. They're going to do it for maybe 5 years. Yeah. And so I feel like if you're going to change University Boulevard to Sandra Bland Parkway, whatever it is, it needs to be a permanent change.
I know one person I talked to, they wanted to get it changed to the name of their most famous alumni, which is Mr. T. Mm-hmm. That's their famous alumni. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to get the name changed to Mr. T. I don't know. But as we talk about Prairie View, we're going to the Labor Day Classic this week. Should they even show up? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Now, I'm not talking about football, I'm talking about the band. I'm talking about the marching band. What's the ultimate? So, what do you guys have in store for Prairie View A&M?
See, we can't release all that information. Just know it's going to be a good little show.
Wow.
Good luck to Prairie View. Y'all gonna need it.
Oh wow. Well, Travis, thank you for joining me today. It's always nice, a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully, I have you here on the show again.
Okay.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you.
You caught this. You caught that.